Welcome to the Collective Genius Podcast, the show for real estate investors who are looking to scale.
Welcome back into the Collective Genius Podcast. I am your host, Leon Barnes, and if you are here, that means that you are a real estate investor or a future real estate investor looking to grow and scale, continue along the path of many of the guests that we've had here on the Collective Genius, and you know how to find that if you want more information. I'm going to just hit it right out of the gates. Go to explorecg.com. If you're interested, you've been a long-time listener, thank you for those that have listened to the podcast, downloaded the podcast. You're going to really enjoy today's pod. I promise you that. And the reason I say that, and you probably hear me say this every single meeting, is I get to have another one of our members that has done exactly what I start this show off with every single week. This is the community where people come to grow and scale, not only their businesses, but also as human beings. And I can't think of a better example, more recent example than my next guest, Mr. Dustin Singer from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Proud Steeler fan. Welcome in, Dustin. How are you, man?
Not so much this year.
Well, you know, in history, I think history has served you very, very well as a franchise. So you still got one of my favorite coaches. I know that he's not a favorite as much anymore in Pittsburgh, but as soon as Mike Tomlin parts ways with the Steelers, somebody will pick him up very quickly. I know that to be true.
That's fair. That's fair.
Yeah. So, all right, let's start off with a proper introduction, talk less about the Steelers and talk more about you. In Pittsburgh, tell people what it is that you do specifically. I know you have a very diverse business. We'll get into how that's grown over the years, but what is it that you do specifically in Pittsburgh?
So mainly wholesaling, novations, fix and flip, wholesaling. We do have a rental portfolio as well, and we're getting into some commercial acquisitions. So, and I've done hard money lending, so a little bit of everything.
Okay. What is I don't know if I've ever asked this before. Of all of those, you know, diversified. What do you like the most about the business? Which angle?
I'm extremely excited about commercial right now, and of course, I think everyone probably loves lending because it's the easiest. But lately, we did a lot of wholesaling this year. And I've really enjoyed that this year. You know, as the market changed a little bit, we were seeing that people didn't want to necessarily spend top dollar for fix and flip properties, and they were okay buying grandma's house for a cheaper price. So it's actually made our lives a lot easier.
Of course. You know, you have to take what the market gives you, and you're in one of those markets where it's allowed for that. I've talked to some other members where, you know, if you just put a house back on the market today, it better be priced really, really well, or it's going to sit, because there's so much, there's more longer days on market, and people are struggling in some markets with that. But in your particular case, you're taking what the market gives you. And I love that. I'd love to be able to hotel every single house as well. Unfortunately, it doesn't always work out that way. The commercial side of it, I want to save that for a little bit later in the conversation. Let's start out with, you wholesale. This year has been very special. You did a presentation recently at CG Select about a business transformation and a personal transformation. The business as a whole, let's start there first, and we'll get to the personal transformation of how that helped you get to this point. You are going to double your business this year. So for those that are listening to this, what's that volume look like? What does that revenue look like?
So last year we did about 1.1, I think. And to be honest, that might include some rental equity. So I don't even know if that's fully a real number, but this year we're pretty close to doubling that. I think last year we did 81 contracts total with, I don't know, 50 closes, 50 some closes. And this year, we have 85 confirmed, A to B whole way closes, but if you count flip acquisitions, we'll be over 100 for sure.
So from a revenue standpoint, your business beyond whatever asset class, all in, you're going to double, right around double on your revenue side. And yet you attribute all of that to increasing one thing and decreasing on the other. Why don't you tell the audience what I'm talking about there?
So actually it was the week after I left January Select. Someone had presented on their health transformation, and I took immediate action and hired a personal trainer the next week, and we are down 50 pounds since January of this year.
Phenomenal. For those that are, that want a little bit more detail on that, Dustin did a presentation at our October CG Select meeting, and at that meeting, at the time he was 215. Last year he was 215. At that time he was down to 170. Pre-show, I said, "Hey, you lost 45 pounds." He's like, "No, make it 50." So he's now down to 165. And body fat at the time was last year was just under 29%, and now down to 12%, or at the time was 12% of that presentation. I wrote down all these details because they matter. They matter for a reason, and you attribute your business success. In fact, you said specifically, your business growth will follow your personal growth. And you weren't just talking about loss of weight and body fat and all those things, but you watched another presentation. You were the third person that I've had on the pod. Ryan Berry, Jeremiah Dalton have both been on this podcast. And I have watched the personal transformations of each of you and also your business growth as well. It's interesting that all three of you share that common side of things, of seeing a presentation and going, I need to get myself right. And Jeremiah honestly was one of the first ones to bring it to Collective Genius.
Yeah.
And then all of you are promoting to either have promoted or are promoting to our premier level. So they do definitely go hand in hand. But why don't you give more background of why you felt like this was important?
So, I was just, I had been stuck at the same revenue deal flow for, probably since I joined CG, which is, I want to say it's been almost 3 years now.
3 years.
Yeah. And just, kind of doing the same thing year after year, expecting different results, definition of insanity, right? And I attributed a lot of that to just being lazy and a lack of discipline and a lack of self-control and a lack of accountability. And the more I kind of looked internally at the business, the more I kind of looked internally at myself, where, I'm supposed to be the leader of this business. I'm supposed to be leading the charge at the front of the line. And how could I do that when I was treating my body the way that I was treating it, not exercising, not eating right. Of course, lack of motivation comes with that, being tired, sleeping in, just all the stuff. And, when I started on the weight loss journey, at first I'm just like, I want to lose weight. I saw Ryan Berry and Jeremiah doing it. I want to look good. And I did not realize the impact that was going to make at the time on my motivation levels, my discipline levels, and how that was going to carry over into what I was doing on a daily basis in the business. I mean, we not only did we double our revenue, we doubled our team size. We doubled a bunch of stuff, and then I lost half my body weight. So, it just went really, really hand in hand. And it's crazy because now, I can't imagine being where I'm at, being that old guy. It was I had to die to old self in order to become this new version.
It's so common. If people go back and listen to those episodes, you can do that at the cgpodcast.com. All the episodes are there. If you go back and watch Ryan and Jeremiah's pods, you will hear almost the exact same answer to that question. You said, it's it's like that old, I can't imagine going back to where I was before because I'm so laser focused on happiness and business growth and leadership, I think is the big word that you used a ton in your presentation in October. When did you know, like, was it the first 30 days, the first 60 days? Give me a little bit more detail on when you could see that this was making an impact, not only for you from a weight loss standpoint, energy standpoint, but when it started to click that this will help you become the leader that you wanted to become and the business owner that you wanted to become.
I think probably, let's see, I started in January, probably within the first 90 days, I would say, is when I really started to notice. It's almost like, when you start a new business, like just in the very beginning, you have this just uncontrollable drive, this just, crazy, just go get hustle type mentality to do whatever it takes to get to where you're trying to go. And I had lost that over the years. I'd become very complacent and comfortable. And I think as my body started to, feel better from losing weight and eating healthier and sleeping right and all these different things, that drive started to come back. And I was reinvigorated to grow again, not only personally, but in the business as well. And all that energy, I'm the type of person, like, I have to put that into something. And I was like, well, I've been sitting here on this business I've been complacent with, like, here it goes. Here's where all the energy's going. And yeah, like after that first 90 days, it's like it all came back. And I felt like I could go back to my old ways of taking immediate action. I used to always make quick decisions and kind of act on intuition a lot. And I lost a lot of that. And it came back, and that, we hired multiple team members within a very short period of time, pounding out training, doing the onboarding, spending more money on marketing. And it's just like everything just kind of snowballed from that point on.
What was the first thing, if you can remember, because we're going back to spring, early summer of this year. Can you remember let's say the first thing that you wanted to put that energy into in your business?
Hiring. It's definitely hiring.
Okay.
Yeah.
Was there a specific position?
All the above.
Okay.
So,
to give some perspective, at the time of your presentation, you had 2 lead managers, 2 acquisitions, 1 admin, 1 dispo, 1 ops, and 1 project manager, which was a total of 8. And I think last year, same time, you had 4, I believe, at that time.
yeah.
So you doubled your team. What was the first, okay, you got 4 and you went out and obviously doubled your team. What was the first position that you said, all right, I need all of these roles, but this is the one that I know can make the biggest difference immediately?
We were actually operating, 7-figure revenue with no lead management, which is kind of insane a little bit. But yeah, that was the first hire was lead management. I was doing everything backwards. I was spending more money on marketing to try to get more results. And I was investing in marketing capital and no people capital. And I was doing, like I said, everything backwards, and it wasn't working. And it's not that I hadn't heard a million times, like, hey, this is the trajectory. This is like kind of the growth path. I'd heard in CG, I'd heard from Sharper, heard from all these people, and I just like didn't have the energy to act on it. And finally I was like, okay, let's just do it. And, going to go back to like just taking immediate action, just, wise hire, job post, interviewing, just, bulling through everything. Then came the second acquisition agent, then came the operations manager. And it's just absolutely transformed how we operate on a daily basis. And it's crazy to think like, ops was June, July. So, really just in the past, what is that, 6 months, 5 months? It's just amazing. Like we're set up real well at the moment to be able to continue to scale. Whereas before I was trying to scale without the right resources.
I hope people are listening to this that have teams of 2, 3, 4, and understanding that there's real work that goes into it, and it's not something that just happens overnight, but with the right focus, the right energy, and the right leader. These things can happen pretty quickly once you have made the decision that you're going to actually move forward, because you can't continue the way that you're doing things. So probably some of the reason that you got complacent, and I'll let you answer this, had everything to do with you had gotten complacent because you were less energy and probably fed up with bad employees and fed up with contractors and fed up with all the things that when you aren't in top physical condition, you just go, never mind. I'll just figure it out later, or push it off, where this allowed you to take action. Do you feel like some of that was just because you didn't have the energy to deal with it anymore?
90%. Yeah. 90%. It was just, we weren't for a sole proprietor. I was comfortable with what we were doing, and, it wasn't that I didn't want to change, but like you said, yeah, I didn't have the energy to just letting things go and just maintaining that kind of mediocrity. And, my body was saying, you don't have enough energy to deal with it. Just let it go.
So the pain right now of somebody that is really looking to do what you've accomplished here this year, double your revenue, double your team. We'll get to the pilot reference here in a bit, but not necessarily on autopilot, but you truly are tracking revenue, tracking KPIs, your instruments to again use the pilot analogy, which we'll get to in here in a bit. But I want to help people with this pain right now. Right now, if they are not in their best physical condition or close to it, let's give them a lead yourself first path. What are some of the things that you let's say if they don't hire a personal trainer, what are the things that you did early on to make the biggest impact from your physical health?
I'd say, like, if you take the personal trainer out of the equation, he obviously gave me a lot of the roadmap of what to use, but imagine this. It wasn't anything different than what we talk about on a daily basis, right? I have a KPI tracker for personal fitness and health. Obviously I'm accountable to him, but you can be accountable to someone else. Workouts and eating just became a non-negotiable. It was working out 5 days a week, and I had a meal plan, and I meal prepped on Sundays. I made my food for the entire week, and it was actually great. It eliminated a lot of decision fatigue. Like, what am I going to eat today? It's like, nope, I already have it. And then you just measure, just like you do in the business. You measure the weight loss trends. We're measuring, how much I'm sleeping, what my gym pumps feel like, what my energy levels are. We're measuring all this stuff, and we're just making tiny little micro adjustments to tweak it. And that's all. It's really not any different than the fundamentals that we've been taught, a million times.
It's, I used to think that, and I'm, in good shape. I wouldn't say I'm in great shape. But recently there was a doctor that was on 60 Minutes, said something that just clicked with me. I had always seen, people that I'm 48. I would see people my age in the gym, just animals, just hitting the weights, going completely crazy in the gym. And I used to always look at that person and go, what the hell are they training for? Like, you know what I mean? Like, and not necessarily just big meatheads. I'm talking about people doing CrossFit and all these things of, like they were literally training for the Olympics. And I used to think that person was crazy or weird. And after hearing this 60 Minutes piece, it really made sense to me of why, especially as you get older. He said, life is a sport. And I don't know why it just hit me, but it hit me hard, especially as you get older, because things start to change, your motivations, your energy levels, your pain tolerance. talked about, just the reason that people when they're 80 or 90, pass on, because it's usually after something, they break a hip or something like that, because they just simply trip over their own feet because the muscle, isn't the same in your 80s and 90s, obviously. And I just heard that and I thought, my goodness, I've been looking at these people the wrong way. These people are training so they can max out their later years. Not all of them, but the majority of them are like, hey, I want to be able to still play with my kids, my grandkids, and beyond into my 80s and live a great life as long as I can, especially when you're younger. Having that as a young entrepreneur, having that energy to be able to hire the right people, be focused, and go in and have fun at work allows you to this time where you're now transitioning to, which is into new asset classes and things that you enjoy, because you're the best leader for those individuals and you have energy to track things on a daily basis. Will you give me and the audience a little bit of what you gave presentation wise at this select meeting, specifically in regards to you started tracking your own personal KPIs, and that really set you up for making sure that you were leading your team and holding them accountable without it being a corporate setting. You made it really fun. Your people enjoy working with you. Your ops people are flipping you off and in pictures on your PowerPoint presentation. You could just tell you guys are having fun. That wasn't the case last year. How did all that switch, and how do you get to this point in just 1 year?
I think it, mostly came down to it's hard to, well, I shouldn't say hard. It's impossible. How do you have accountability without some type of vision, and then cadence surrounding what that vision looks like? And what I mean by that is, we never talked about, hey, here's the goals for this year. Here's how many leads we should be getting. Here's how many appointments we should be setting. Here's how many contracts, the whole funnel. And then it's not like one of those things where it's just like the beginning of the year. It's like, here's my announcement. Here's what we're doing for the year. Have fun for the next 12 months. There's daily, weekly, monthly cadences around all that stuff where we're reviewing all of these things and seeing, are we on track? Are we off track? What needs to happen so that we are hitting these goals? And then, it ties back into all your team members want to make a certain amount of money too. So
sure,
those goals tie into what it is that they're trying to accomplish.
Simple, yet hard to do if you're not disciplined. And again, I go back to the discipline that you showed in the physical after that January meeting. That discipline transferred over to the business. These meetings, you added those this year, and there's no surprise to me of where your revenue is. The simple, I want to give a simple, easy answer here for those that are struggling right now with that's a question I get quite often from Elevate and Select level members is, what are the right KPIs to track? You keep it very simple. I think there's 5 that you track, maybe one more than that, but you want to, do you mind sharing those, what you guys track on a daily, weekly basis?
Gross leads, qualified leads, appointments set, appointments attended, contract signed, profit.
And you got one more. There's 7, actually. You remember the last one?
Fallout rate. You
got it. Fallout rate. Now, give us a little insight of how you manage those on a daily, weekly basis.
So this was something I struggled with for a long time. It was like I had to have this, we talk about these sales L10s and like EOS and all this stuff, and like this perfect meeting structure to go over all these things. And like, I think what I was missing fundamentally was like, anything is better than not doing it at all. So yeah. We were just going back and forth on like how to do all this stuff. And it was just me for the longest time. And I just realized, it doesn't matter as much as just doing it, just talking about it. So, like the daily huddle is not really a tactical meeting. It's more of a culture meeting where it's like, hey, what's going on? How did yesterday go? Business, professional win. What did your KPIs look like for yesterday? But we don't get into specifics on that. We do weekly sales training, weekly sync meetings where we're going over appointments specifically and numbers surrounded around like our appointments and our contract rate and things like that. It's like a lead manager acquisition sync so that they can have some feedback to each other. And then a monthly review, where we go over that whole pipeline. How did we do? Where did we fall short? It gives them insight, and it also gives me insight if it used to be the leads suck, or
right,
I didn't have enough appointments, or now it's all like right there. It's like, I think I shared this in the presentation that I like to start these off with. Data doesn't tell stories. Let's keep the stories out. We're just looking at data. Yeah. So the numbers don't lie. And those 7, they tell you everything you need to know. They tell you, which department is, whether it's marketing, lead management, or acquisitions, what having a problem right now and where those funnel breaks are. Of course there's,
don't overcomplicate it.
Yeah. There's of course drill down metrics, right?
Sure.
But, if you look at qualified leads, for example, say, hey, our qualified leads are low this month. Okay. Now go look at live answer rate and contact rate. Call audits. Are we overqualifying? Are we underqualifying? But if the number's good, why are you looking at all that other stuff? It's a distraction.
Earlier we discussed, you saw Jeremiah saw Ryan saw Ryan and Jeremiah, and I think there's a few others in the group that have made, these types of health transformations in the group. Collective Genius offers obviously, an opportunity for you to be around your tribe, for you to learn about other business opportunities, to learn about how to grow your business, marketing, sales, leadership, operations, health, obviously. How much of this transformation outside of the health, we already know who that kind of came from, all of these 7 things that you track. You referenced several Collective Genius members in your presentation. How much of this, is built from what you learn in the group?
100%. And I'm not sugarcoating that. There was another community that I was part of before CG that was just general. They had roofers, they had everyone. And I had been exposed to a lot of this stuff, obviously, over the years, but it's hard to kind of translate it sometimes into your own business when you're hearing about roofing metrics or interior design, whatever the case may be. And of course I've had some influence by some vendors, all a part of CG, by the way, over the years, but, and I think I shared this in the meeting. You go to every single meeting and you hear kind of the same themes, right? Like culture, core values, missions, things like that, KPIs, what you should be tracking. And none of it is rocket science. There's not some secret sauce to really any of it. And everyone has their own little tiny variation of it too, and that's okay. What I've really kind of just came to the realization this year, it's kind of that 0 to 1 of like, it's better to do something other than nothing. And, don't go to CG, for example, and grab 30 different things and try to put them all in place at once. Just grab that one thing. It's like, yeah, this is going to make the biggest impact within the next 90 days. Just go do it. Like, that's it. Just go do it. Doesn't matter how you do it. Just do a version of it, figure it out.
I think all of us in life in general typically know what to do. Sometimes we just need the steps put in front of us. And I think what you're referencing there is that anytime you needed the next phase, whether it's from your health side or from the business side, you knew that the resources were available within the room, and you actually had somebody that's doing it the exact same thing that you're doing, that you can quickly take those 5 steps and make them 7 steps, or you can quickly make it 3 to start out for you because that's what you need right now. I always let people know in this community, especially those coming in at the Elevate and the Select level, like this is like a Costco. The community is like Costco. You can get anything you need and a lot of it in the room. But at this particular time, the lowest hanging fruit that gives you the most amount of revenue with the least amount of effort is this one thing. Don't go in and grab, this bulk item of marketing when you have a sales problem, or don't go in and try to, make a bunch of hires when you don't have any revenue coming in yet. Like, fix the leaky, the first leak, the biggest leak first, and then go on to the other ones. You have clearly have done that. I love the Zig Ziglar quote that you use in your presentation of you build people and people build businesses. I hadn't heard that quote in a long time, and I heard it again today as I was rewatching your presentation. And I think that's the missing link that a lot of people, when we get into this business, we know that we can do the business, and then we get stuck usually because we're not focused on hiring the right people and hiring people that can help you build the business versus just filling holes, filling spaces that you need a position for. And that's the biggest thing I saw has clicked for you, is understanding. And sometimes it takes people a year or two in the group to really see it. And then all of a sudden it clicks. It's very apparent it's clicked for you. We just had a conversation earlier this week about your promotion into the Premier Group because of where your business is. But second, we talked about you buying your second commercial building. Like, those are the type of things I hear people say, I want to graduate. Well, you cannot graduate unless you hire people to help you build the business. You cannot do it on your own. You need people to be able to do that. That transition that you're making, this is something that almost every single investor I talk to wants to do that. This year, you've been able to accomplish that. You just bought it. Share this story of the apartment building that you just purchased.
Strip Plaza, but close.
Oh, that's right. Thank you. Yeah.
I'm stepping away from the residentials. Yeah. No, I mean, you kind of hit the nail on the head. Like, this is not something I would have ever taken on a year ago. Not because I didn't want to, but like I wasn't capable. I didn't have the time. I didn't have the energy. And of course, like, I'm getting help too with a lot of this. It's heavy underwriting. And, to make a kind of summarize the deal, we're closing on it in 2 weeks. It's my last minute escape from the IRS this year, but,
too loud.
I know,
record.
I know, all legal, by the way, all legal. Yeah, I've been talking about, I want to do commercial deals. And I've had this one through a referral, and I'm talking to the seller, and he tells me the price, and it's $3.7 million. And I'm like, well, it's a little bit bigger than what I thought I was going to tackle on my first one, but hey, go big or go home. Let's give it a shot. And sure enough, obviously going back and forth on negotiations a little bit. We got a signed contract. We're pretty much at the end of our due diligence period now, and I will own a 41 unit, $3.2 million commercial complex at the end of the month. And just thinking about the potential of that one purchase, of like what that sets me up for, to be able to continue doing things like that. And it's not that, I'm trying to replace the business that we've grown this year, but kind of like how you mentioned, now that I have the right people in place and I'm a little bit more hands off than what I used to be in that business, it allows me to go do these other things. You can call it on the side or whatever you want to call it, but
right. Evolution is what I call it.
Yeah.
It's the maturation process of a real estate investor that has figured out that you build people, and those people build teams, or build your business. For what we are in of scale, like, not everybody is going to want to scale into commercial assets or any other asset class, and that's okay. But you figured out the team part to actually make that decision of going into something else if you so choose. You have the choice. I would be remiss if I don't ask you about how being a pilot relates to business. That was a great analogy that you used. Obviously, you love flying. It's something that I've many a times you've flown from PA down to Florida, which is a nice, you don't have to go through TSA or any of those type of things, but give us, how flight plans and autopilots and how all that relates, instruments, how all of it relates to running a successful business.
Yeah. So, I mean, we touched on it a little bit, but the presentation I made in October, I made a lot of aviation analogies to keep it more interesting. And, funny enough, reoccurring theme, something's about the same. When you're taking your pilot lessons, you think, okay, I got to learn how to do this, right? And do something with the throttle. And that's actually like maybe 20% of it. And the other 80% is the planning portion and monitoring KPIs, which happen to be the flight instruments. And, learning how to work all the systems and having processes and having checklists that you do every single time. And I got into flying and I'm like, man, this is really similar to business in the sense of like how you plan out these flights and make sure that it's a safe, successful flight is a lot of the same characteristics of running a business and all these feedback loops and things like that. So I kind of tied in these analogies to the presentation of about the instruments being the KPIs and your flight crew and all these different things. And yeah, becoming a pilot, that was another thing that you want to talk about, just being able to have laser focus. That really kind of fine-tuned that skill, because when you're up there in the air, you're making some life or death decisions.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. What's you have a favorite flight that you've taken so far?
I would say I love flying down to Florida. I love being able, you're at 9,000, 10,000 feet the whole way down, which is a lot lower than what the commercial planes are. And just seeing the landscape of the whole East Coast on the way down, it's just, it's awesome. Yeah. Then
flight like that, a flight like that, you're not stopping. That's all the way through.
That's all the way through. Yep. Yeah.
No refuel stop anywhere. That's all the way from Pittsburgh all the way down to Sarasota or Clearwater.
Yeah, I think, I don't know, maybe it was the last time I was joking. I was reading Profit First on the way down in the plane because it has autopilots. There's not, once you're up there, it's system monitoring. That's all you're really doing is just system monitoring, and it take you the whole way.
Well, it's a great analogy for what you're doing at this point with your team, system analyzing, and building culture, building future leaders. You've made the switch of stop gapping with your hires, and you're actually building future leaders that will help you continue to reach your goals and reach their goals. Your focus has completely changed to making sure that they get theirs. And obviously that started, with the presentation, seeing others, get healthy, and it ultimately has not only made you healthy, but has made your business very healthy in 2025 and for many years to come. Couldn't be more proud of you, my friend. If people are listening to this and say, hey, man, I'd love to hear, more about your story, or ask you how, what's a good routine to start with, 0 to 1 from a health standpoint, how do they best find you?
I'm a big Facebook guy, not Instagram. So Dustin Singer on Facebook. You can shoot me a DM. That's probably the best way.
Awesome. Anything else that you're excited about you want to share with the audience?
I think we covered all of it. Just massive change this year.
Yeah. So proud of you, my friend.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining me, telling your story. You shared a lot here today. And always good to talk to you. And I'm looking forward to seeing you in the premiere room in 2026.
Thanks, Leon.
Awesome. So look, if you're listening to this and you have been listening to this and you're on the fence, just listening to Dustin's story here and the members that have made an impact on him, make that decision in 2026 that you're not going to sit on the sidelines anymore. You're going to get motivated, whether that's from a health standpoint or the business health side of things. to be in room with guys like Dustin that is truly making that jump. He is now scaled. He's one of, I believe, now 50 CG Select members that have promoted into the premier room. I promise you this, these are the type of rooms that you want to be in if you want to grow and scale your business. You can find more information on our website at explorecg.com. There, our application, you can fill it out. You can talk to us on the other side, and I promise you this, if you're a full-time real estate investor and you are a go-giver in nature and you want to grow your business, we have a tier for you. We have a community for you. You can find all of that at explorecg.com. For my guest, Dustin Singer, thank you again, my friend. We will see you all next week on the Collective Genius Podcast.
Are you ready to scale your real estate business? Visit thecollectivegenius.com, where real estate investors come to scale. Subscribe to the Collective Genius Podcast and hit the bell icon to be notified when our next episode releases. And thanks for listening.